BDSM and non-standard relationships,
Power exchange and polyamory,
sacred sexuality and fetishes, as well as simply fun kink.
You'll find shows on these topics and more at eroticawakeningpodcast.com.
Hello, all you skibbears. This is Graydancer, and I am coming to you from the rope bondage capital of the world, Madison, Wisconsin, where I am having a brief respite in between my month-long little junket down in the Darlington, Maryland area for things like Ramble Grew, which was awesome, and Dark Odyssey Summer Camp, and the Crossroads event, and things like that. And I'm off to FapCon in Calgary, Alberta in next week. And I'm looking forward to that too, especially since I get to visit a certain doctor that I haven't seen in far too long. And everyone else up there in Calgary. I really love that city. It's my second favoriteest city in the Canadias. And I'm really looking forward to my third. I won't say what my first one is. I'll just let Vancouver and Toronto battle it out and remind Montreal that you just haven't invited me yet. So, maybe someday. I'm looking at you, Montreal. Anyway, yes, this Ropecast is, as usual, brought to you by twistedmonk.com. Now, Twisted Monk posted a very weirdly mysterious machine-cutting gray fabric of some kind on his Twitter feed recently, and that's because he is making some special gear for our dungeon monitors at Ropecraft, and we are very, very glad to be partnering with him for that particular thing, and it is always an honor to do that. He also posted another mysterious one saying that he was going to add lumberjack porn, I think was his cue. Apparently doing some kind of shoot with lumberjack outfit. Anyway, that's why you should follow Twisted Monk on Twitter, because you get lots of interesting things, including great videos on his site. Oh, and did I mention he also makes rope and a lot of other things, but he makes rope really, really, really well. I'm happy to say that thanks to my friend Evan, we are going to have several packs of Twisted Monk custom dyed rope at Ropecraft in our rope library. So if you've heard me talking about Twisted Monk, but you've been like, oh, you know what, I'm too lazy to actually send off for a sample pack, which you can get for free, you can just come to Ropecraft and check out one of his, and I say check out, I mean as in go in and sign the card. It's a rope library. You go in, you sign the card, you take the rope, you do your stuff with it, preferably not the sticky stuff, because otherwise you bought it, and then you return it, and having gotten to try it out. And I suspect if you're like me, once you try it out, you never ever go back, especially not if you go for nylon. Not that there's anything wrong with nylon, I just know for me, once we tried organic rope, it was, no going back on that. Now, one way that I wish I could have gone into organic rope was with my other sponsor, Karma Rope. KarmaRope.com has a pay-what-you-can model for their stuff. Now, it's not the fancy dyed stuff. It's not the fancy whipped ends. They just tear it off the spool, whatever lengths you want, either hemp or jute, and they send it off to you. The hemp is really fun. It's kind of like a linen-y kind of hemp, and I really actually enjoy that. It's a little thin for my taste normally. As you know, my Moco jute spec is a little thicker. But I have used it. I did like the texture of it. The smell of hemp that is linen is just, it's like books. I mean, come on, doesn't get any better than being tied up with book rope. And you can get it for whatever price you want to pay. So also Karma Rope has made a commitment to giving back to the community, in through the form of grants that are going to be coming out soon. And they just really are a very ethical company in terms of being very careful with what they do. And I'm very proud to be sponsored by them. So thank you, Karma Rope. And if you don't even if you don't buy stuff, just drop them a note, tell them you're glad you did that. I'd also like to thank John, who's a new patron on my Patreon page. John, thanks for your contribution. You will get access to my sketch notes and more little things, like there's a entire class that I gave on leather history that I uploaded there, and all kinds of stuff that I put in there for my sponsors that help keep this thing going. You help me pay for my bandwidth fees, for the hosting, and I have to say that this is an announcement. Brace yourselves. If you're not sitting down, so you should sit down. If you are sitting down, you maybe should lay down. Unless you're driving, in which case do not lay down or stand up. Just keep on doing what you're doing, but be prepared. This is the last Ropecast. I mean, come on. Let's be honest with each other. It's been a long run. We've enjoyed our time together. It's been good. We've had our good times. We've had our slumps. We've had our bad times. I think it's time to just admit that the word Ropecast is not really the best descriptor for this. Now, admittedly, I mean, I'm always going to be, my first love is always rope. I mean, I can go on for hours and hours, and I am, it's kind of like, that family that you go back to on Thanksgiving and you're like, oh, I love you guys, but man, sometimes you drive me crazy. The rope community, that's exactly what it's like. Sometimes you drive me crazy, but God, I love you all so damn much. This is the weekend of the final MBE, and MBE Morpheus's Bondage Extravaganza, and I'm looking forward to tuning in and taking a look at the performances that go on. And, you were all wonderful, but if you've listened to the last few Ropecasts, for the last few months, really, we talk about rope, but sometimes we talk about other things. I've gotten a whole lot of positive comments from the conversation I had with Darren Infinity about toxic masculinity, and the things I had with Valhalla Images about fragile masculinity, and it talks about consent, and it talks about intersectionality and negotiation and all of these things, and I keep trying to force it back into let's talk about how this relates to rope, because it does relate to rope, because hey, we're humans. Rope people are still people, and we still have these things. But let's be honest, when there's an entire podcast about masculinity, and all I'm saying is, well, how are rope people hurt by toxic masculinity? It's kind of stretching it. So, you don't have to change a thing. You're just going to notice on your podcast follow feed that instead of being called Graydancer's Ropecast, this is going to be called Graydancer's Podcast. It's a logical thing. Originally, this was called the Ropecast. Then there was a German language group that decided they were going to have a Ropecast, so it changed to Graydancer's Ropecast. And now we're just dropping the Ropecast and just calling it Graydancer's Podcast. And what am I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to talk about rope. I'm definitely going to talk about rope. But I'm also going to talk about all the other things. And I am not going to be ashamed of it. I'm not going to be trying to, I shouldn't talk about this thing that I'm really interested in. And it was funny. I was worried about, oh my God, I'm going to lose my sponsors. I'm going to lose my listeners. And here's the thing. If you really don't want to listen to any of the things I'm talking about, you don't have to. I will not bid you farewell. There's a zillion great podcasts out there. But I think that there's a few people that have sort of listened and they would love to recommend the podcast to other people, but they can't because they're like, well, I'm not into rope. But you should listen to it anyway because he's not talking about rope. He's talking about this other thing. Well, guess what? Now you want to forget about it. And for those of you that say that it's really egotistical that I'm naming a podcast just after myself, you're right. It totally is. And if I could think of a better name, I would do it. But I can't because I'm too busy doing podcast content. So I'm afraid that you are going to have to just deal with the fact that it's called Graydancer's Podcast. And what you should do, if you really don't like that, you should start your own podcast, and you can call it Not Graydancer's Podcast, and that'll show me. So that's my announcement. You're going to see things changing on the feeds, on the names of different things. I'm going to do my best to keep the feeds the same, but just change the names of things. we'll see if that'll work. The Ropecast Twitter feed will probably have to change to, I don't know, GD Podcast or something like that. But if you have other topics about kink, about sexuality, hell, even about, really, I'm going to focus on sexuality and relationships, bit of personal development and stuff like that, mainly because this is my part of trying to drag our culture kicking and screaming out of its puerile attitude towards sex, which was really recently, this recent political situation where, Trump gets all upset at 3 a.m. He says, well, did you know that Miss Machado had a sex tape? Oh, my God. And, of course, people looked into it and discovered that actually she didn't have a sex tape, but he did. He's featured in a Playboy video. And a lot of big deal was made out of the hypocrisy, and I get it. Hypocrisy sucks. But the reason I have done this podcast, the reason I do my work in sex education is because I really like to be in a world where we could all be like, so the fuck what? So what if they both had wild and crazy sex tapes of them having sex with each other? So what? What does this have to do? Are they qualified for the position? And I don't mean the reverse cowgirl position. I mean, are they qualified for this kind of thing? It needs to be a, yeah, so what? Who cares kind of situation. But we're a long way from that place. So, instead, I'm going to talk about style, because we talked about the fact that, on Twitter, if you saw, there was a little GIF with a whole bunch of people doing cape reveals, like the Elf King doing a cape reveal, and Gandalf doing a cape reveal, and all these different things, and it ended up, of course, with Dr. Frankenfurter doing a cape reveal. And I said, hey, riggers, this should be the start of every rigging thing. We just come up in a dark cloak and we just go poof. And I think JP and said, oh, no, I can't do capes. No capes. Good reference to the Incredibles there, JP. And he was saying we should do it with pants and some kind of reveal kind of thing. Now, here's the thing. I'm only half joking, because the thing is that we do have a ritual. Hell, that's what if you listen to my review of the monk sack, that's what part of the monk sack is. It's the reveal. It's all folded up. It's, as he put it, it's a burrito. And then you unfold it and you reveal this magical stuff inside. And that act of the reveal is a big fucking deal. That's the whole history of burlesque, is about people, setting something up and, this is covered up and now we are revealing it. And sometimes it's revealing, look how majestic it is. And sometimes it's revealing, look how vulnerable it is. It could be revealing as in, this is going to make things, more incredible. I made a big impression once on someone. This is back when I was still wearing kimonos in my rope bondage scenes. And I was I'd gone out and bought a special kimono. The reason I bought it was because I picked out some of the stitching in the sleeves. And when I was starting to do this scene with this person, I tied her up and sort of, had her, it wasn't a hog tie. It was sort of something where she was on the floor. I don't remember the exact details of the tie, but the point is that kneeling over her, I looked down at her and I just reached up and I grabbed my sleeve and I ripped it off. And then did the same thing in the other one, and it revealed my manly shoulders. It didn't really matter what it revealed. The whole act of ripping them off made a good impression, or an interesting impression. So I am going to encourage you, in whatever kink you are doing, to think about different ways that you can incorporate the reveal. Now, this can be as simple as a cape, a swooshy cape that you reveal or something like that. But it could also be a matter of a sort of a DS kind of framework. And the reason why is because it is a change that switches your brain off from what it was doing and into this new state. It is transferring it to a different state. In some cases, this is part of why I say to people who are bottoming with me that I don't like it when they undress before we actually start. I would prefer that I get to be the one who, I like to say, I like to unwrap my presents, which is a little objectifying. They don't mind, but it's more a matter of, I like the idea of that transition and being a part of that transition. A long time ago, when I was in a master-slave relationship with Cunning Minx, we were in a long-distance relationship, and when I would come over to her place in Chicago, we would take her collar off the dresser, and she'd kneel and put the collar on. Now, the thing was, the collar was saved on her dresser, and we thought, oh, that'd be great. It'll be a constant reminder of things being there. The problem was that because it was always there, and like, if I was gone for a couple of weeks, it would get dusty. It became instead a symbol of me not being there, a symbol of our missing each other. And now you get the lovely sound of my cat having a hairball on the ground. Thank goodness for really good microphones. So we realized that was a problem. It was really starting to affect our relationship and things like that. So what we ended up doing, though, and I had no idea, I can remember when I thought of this, when I came up with this solution, it was actually while driving a U-Haul, carrying around equipment for ShibariCon. And I had this really interesting epiphany. And I went out and I got a decorative box with a little lock on it. And so we took the collar off, we put the collar in the box and locked it. So instead of the collar on her dresser, she had the box on her dresser. The collar was unseen. And as anyone who is a fan of The Little Prince, Antoine Saint-Exupéry, what is essential is invisible to the eye. And so suddenly, instead of the collar sitting there being just a bunch of leather with some little D-rings on it and, getting dusty there, instead, there was the idea of the collar hidden inside the box. And the box became a thing that would be opened. It was a reveal that was going to happen. So the next time I came out, instead of kneeling down and putting the collar on her, she knelt down and she held up the box. And I opened the box, unlocked the box, opened it up, and ta-da! There's the collar. It was like, it's like Indiana Jones opening the Ark and having the glowing, light coming on. It was a fantastic way to restore the magic of that collar. So that's why I'm a big believer in the reveal. But if you use the reveal, if you are not just playing around hey, surprise, look at this. If the reveal is a part of your ritual, you want to make sure that you do not switch it out unexpectedly. If it's a ritual, the whole idea of ritual, the difference between a ritual and a habit is something you do over and over and over again, so you don't even have to think about it. A ritual is something you do over and over and over again, thinking about it a lot. Okay, that's the idea of a ritual. So if you have a rope ritual, that's what you're doing. Now, here's the problem. If you have a ritual, part of the power of the ritual is that you know what happens next. So the one time that I went out and I bought leather cuffs for cunning minks, and secretly I put those cuffs inside the box, took out her collar, and she did not know about this. And so she knelt down, and I opened it up, and I was thinking she'd be like, oh, look, I have cuffs, how wonderful. Not that that's the sound of her voice. She has a much sexier voice than that. You should listen to Polyamory Weekly. It's you can hear the great voice. No, she was not happy. That was a very upsetting moment. That was a case where I actually weakened the ritual by changing it like that. So be very careful if you do ritualize this kind of thing with a reveal, if you change the reveal, there's a problem. If you ever want to really read up on the theory of this, a fun book to read about that is The Prestige. The Prestige and talks a lot about magic. There's a movie with Wolverine and Batman in it, but the movie's pretty good. The book's fantastic. I recommend the audiobook, and it has a lot about the whole idea of why the reveal is a big part of things and why you can use that in whatever your kink is to do this kind of thing. So I suggest that you try out the reveal. So I will talk a little bit about Ropecraft, but it's not an advertisement, okay? I mean, I will say that if you are coming and you haven't booked your hotel room when you're listening to this, look at your calendar, because if it is 2 days after I put this on, October 3rd, that's the last day that our hotel block will be open. And that's not like at most events where they say, our hotel block will be released to the public, you won't get the good rate. In this case, it's our hotel block will be released to the public, you might not get a room. because they are apparently selling out rooms a whole lot faster than they expected for other events besides Ropecraft that are going on in New Orleans. Go figure, the French Quarter, busy place around Halloween. Who knew? So you want to definitely register for that. You can also still register for the event itself. And as you know, there is a discount code for you Ropecast listeners. If you will put in the word Ropecast on your thing, you will get the discounted price. And that is way back to our pre-sale prices. Right now, the costs are still pretty reasonable considering what you get and where you get it. They're $199.99 for 3 nights of parties with custom-made bondage equipment. I'm looking at one of the diagrams right now, and I just saw some of the things. Yeah, we are not going with bonds of steel. I know you're thinking about hearing that before. We thought we were. Unfortunately, that didn't work out. New Orleans is a really bitch of a place to try and get equipment in. So we are instead going to be giving some business to the local economy and getting some of the equipment in from right in there. And it's custom made for Ropecraft. We have a great group on the staff that are working on that. I've seen some of the pictures of the equipment we're building and getting, and oh my god. And for the traditionalists, there will also be a few Bonds of Steel frames, a few Adventures in Sexuality frames. We are also getting all of the New Orleans bondage and leather enthusiasts. Yeah, Noble are bringing their equipment as well, which is cool. It has a beautiful boot blacking stand and an electric chair and things like that. But it's that boot blacking stand that is actually relevant here, because you may have remembered me talking a little bit about the idea of a Ropewalker. Now, Ropewalker is a totally legitimate term dating back to the 16th century. A Ropewalker was someone who made rope, who took care of rope, who repaired rope. The rope walks were very, long places because you have to stretch out the rope. And so we have this cultural identity of people who care for rope as a service, kind of like bootblacks. So the rope walk, a few people have really kind of taken up with that. I know Bound Punk is really thrilled with it. And I've had one of the people who is frankly, she's like the epitome of service. And I know that my servant Naya would agree, because we watch her at work and we're kind of like in awe of how graceful she is. And that is Diamond. Now, Diamond is already teaching a class at Ropecraft. She agreed to host a Ropewalkers Roundtable. And the idea is that this can be a place where people share ideas about what kind of service they feel that the role of Ropewalker would be for them. And I'm really interested to see what that is. I mean, for me, it would be caring for the rope, retightening things. I have started to move more towards whipped ends. I know Naya's going to be unhappy to hear about that, but she may have to learn how to whip the ends of my rope, because that's something that I would like to do. I mean, I can do it. It's not that I can't. I've whipped an end or two. I even have whipped ends in the Abbey with Twisted Monk, with him shaking his head sadly at the lack of speed and grace that I did it with. But I did it, damn it. It's a kind of thing that would be wanting to be done. Re-oiling ropes, cleaning ropes, tightening ropes. Still looking for a good little gadget to tighten up the ropes. I thought I found one at REI, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. So I'd like to know from you what kinds of things you think should be going into rope walking. And the nice part is that even if you can't come to Ropecraft, which is sad, if you send me this, I will pass it on to the class. So you can still have a presence there with suggestions for, what kind of treatments you do for rope and the kinds of things that you think should be done for rope walking. Now, rope walking is to rope what boot blacking is to leather. I'd also like to know, what are some other service kind of things that can go into kink? I mean, what are some other kinks? What would would there be like a med tech kind of thing for somebody that was into medical play? someone who takes care of the needles or that kind of situation. Maybe there's Naya and I already fetishize the whole office slut thing. We actually are very excited. I have a desk that we think she can actually fit underneath and be going down on me during my work, which would be, a lot of fun for everybody involved. Hell, if you want, maybe I'll do it on a Ropecast. Oh, I'm sorry. See what I did? You have to change the name. That always happens. Maybe I'll do that on a future podcast. I could do a podcast. Tell you what, I'll put this out there, and you let me know if you're interested in it. I have a class called Receiving Blowjobs Gracefully. And one of the things about the class, this was created at the Los Angeles GRU. By the way, tickets went on sale for that just recently. la.gru.space if you want to find out more. But anyway, I did this. I did a class. It's on receiving blowjobs gracefully, and it's done as a demo, as in I am receiving a blowjob while I'm giving the class. Which I have to tell you, the first thing I say is, giving a class while receiving a blowjob is not receiving a blowjob gracefully, but it is make it easier to demonstrate things as opposed to just talk about them. So, if you'd like, I could always arrange to do that on the inaugural Graydancers podcast, because that would be fun for everybody, and not too hard. But see what I did there? Yes, that's right. Even if you get a different name for the podcast, you still get the same bad jokes. All right, so I do have the GRU I mentioned is coming. The Sooner GRUs are Sooners. Haha, not the Sooners. We're not having one in Oklahoma yet. Someday we will return to the land of my fathers. And yes, literally, land of my fathers is Oklahoma. And we'll have a Sooner GRU. But in the meantime, we have GRUs coming up in Indianapolis and Columbus, still here in 2017. And we also have one coming up in Los Angeles, as usual, you might say. You can always find out about where the next GRUs are at gru.space. But Indianapolis is October 23rd through 25th. Columbus is November 18th through 20th. And Los Angeles is January 6th through 8th. And you can always look on GRU Space as the Twitter feed, or gru.space. I'm also trying to make it pretty easy in that I put the city followed by gru.space. So indy.gru.space, columbus.gru.space, and la.gru.space will all take you to the pages where you can find out more about what's going on and where. So hopefully you will enjoy that. I'm going to do a quick check and see if anybody had any questions on the Twitter feed for me from the podcast. I've been trying to let people ask questions if they want, and I don't see it. So in the meantime, I am going to bring you out with a fun little thing from Ramble Gru. We had the Grusicle 2. A funny thing happened on the way to the dungeon, which IP Cookie Monster knocked it out of the park. Oh my god, it was so good. The Little Red did an amazing operatic thing. There was fantastic. MJ did. I actually really hope that I can get the recording of what MJ did, because she took one of my favorite songs and incorporated a really hilarious story so well. So if I can get a hold of that soundtrack, I'll play it for you. But what I did get a hold of was Naya recorded me and Murphy Blue doing our a rendition of Suddenly Senpai, that classic Alan Lerner tune. So we will be doing that on the way out. And while I'm doing that, I'll also say that Murphy has a Patreon page of his own. And if you look on the Twitter feed or on his Blue Risk Twitter feed, you will see a link to that. I was his first supporter. So if you're looking for a place to send, the cost of a coffee or something like that, it's a great way to do it. I mean, just $5 a month, when it adds up to a lot of people, can really, really help out. And he definitely is deserving of it, as am I. Remember, patreon.com/Ropecast. I might change the name a little bit, but if I do, I'll let you know. For now, that'll still work. I also like to thank my other sponsors, karmarope.com, pay what you can rope, and the inestimable twistedmonk.com. He makes fantastic custom-dyed rope. Every month he comes out with a new color that generally sells out really fast because it's so magnificently done. And it's great rope and great other products as well. So please thank them for sponsoring me. Thank you, patrons. You'll be getting the video of what you're about to hear. But in the meantime, I will let you all hear me and Murphy in our rendition of 77.
I heard somewhere Bugatti flaunted, so So anyway, so once you're dressed correctly, then you gotta take that. Well, look, I spent hours trying to work out the first time I was trying, and I took pictures, I looked at it, it's really hard. Nobody thinks about how hard it is. I don't know what to do anymore. It's your fault.
Show me a tie as clear as the morning. Those bindings were back, but here's a TK. But suddenly Senpai standing beside you. Don't need a bowl. Try a carrot bed. Suddenly Senpai is here to provide you Kimbaku knowledge. Senpai's your friend.
Nobody ever showed me the bindings. That life was evil, my bottom was bored. I'd take a class and I'd follow it blindly. They'd say Lubari, and I'd say sure. Suddenly Senpai, he's standing behind me. Really not nervous. My ties won't offend. 'Cause suddenly Senpai, he's here to provide me with Kinbaku knowledge. Senpai's my friend.
All gone forever, and all those bad mutters are clean washed away.
I fear that my fingers are fumbling blindly. If my futo fails me, I'll never get laid. But suddenly Senpai, he's here to provide me. Suddenly Senpai, he shows me I can learn how to be more. That rigor inside me, with sweet understanding, with Kimbaku knowledge, with Kimbaku knowledge.
All right. I don't know about you, but I can't believe the sound was actually that clear. But we are we going to see him again at Crossroads event? Oh, it's too bad. So yeah, we're going to be going to Crossroads event, which is at turtlehillevents.org. Really a good idea to go to that. I'd also like to take a moment and pimp another event.
This is Dan,
Dawn,
and Karen.
and we are the co-producers of the annual polyamory event, Beyond the Love.
Beyond the Love is a low-cost 3-day event held on November 11th, 12th, and 13th, 2016 in a private space in a beautiful hotel in Columbus, Ohio.
You will find a variety of classes and workshops led by people living in polyamorous relationships from around the country.
As well as fun and interactive extras like poly mixers, game night, and an 80s dance and more.
There will be a wealth of opportunity to learn tools, techniques, and communication skills to enhance our poly relationships.
We will provide a safe environment for meeting with other like-minded people in a supportive and inclusive community.
We welcome anyone living a poly lifestyle or considering doing so.
We're passionate about recognizing poly as a relationship choice and sharing common experiences on our many different paths.
Find out more at beyondthelove.org.
We
Hope to see you there.
Now, you may be wondering if you'll see me there, and I'll be honest with you, probably not. Not because I don't support them or I don't think it's a great event. I am, in fact, polyamorous, as my darling Naya and the blonde will tell you. But that is the week after Ropecraft New Orleans. And we will be in full, oh my god, we did it mode. But I don't think you should not be able to go there. And in order to make it easier for you to go to both events, guess what? That's right. Even though we are about to do, in about a week and a half, maybe less than that, a price bump where the cost of going to Ropecraft will go up to $199, which is still a good deal. 3 nights of parties, classes, 2 full dungeons, rope and space with Murphy Blue, access to the gala dinner with lots of performances. That's a good deal, even at $199.99, which is what it's going to go up to on September 17th. Right now, it's $179.99, so you could still get your tickets, now and get a little money. But guess what? Because you, my dear friend, yes, I'm talking to you, are listening to this Ropecast. All you have to do is go in to ropecraftnola.bpt.me and enter in the code Ropecast. If you do that, you will get access to a special Ropecast price of $149.99 for the entire event.
Woo!
So, please do not share this with anyone that you don't think is a Ropecast listener. Maybe they could be a potential Ropecast listener, but this is just for you. What I'm saying is don't post it to the internet. This is just for you. And I hope that it means that you'll have an extra $50 or so to go to Beyond the Love too. Or you could go take it and get some rope from karmarope.com, one of my sponsors, or check out what the color of the month is from Twisted Monk. Hey, actually, that's enough money to buy not only a length of rope, but also to get yourself one of the new gear slingers from Twisted Monk, which are totally fucking awesome. So, twistedmonk.com, one of my sponsors. Yes, Naya, you wanted to tell me something? Nope, she's not.
No.
She's just being a
You
good
could buy me
server.
a gear slinger.
You could buy Naya a gear slinger if you'd like. Send that to Graydancer@gmail.com if you can figure out how to send something solid through email. Anyway, so that hits us the hour mark, so I'm going to sign off. This is Graydancer again from my undisclosed location where we are making plans for our next assault on Ramblewood. Signing off. That's some good rope.